Good afternoon, everyone. Welcome to the Unruffled Ladies live Facebook broadcast. And we thank you for being with us here today in the absence of our co founder, Dr. Gina Ned, Lady Gina. She's not with us today, uh, but she's here with us in spirit, and we know that we have her support. It's myself, Rosalind, and Verlicia Harris, Pastor B. We will be sharing with you today a topic of the month of October, which is Domestic Violence Month. And we have a little bit of information to share with you, talk about some things that most people maybe haven't thought about. Not necessarily you yourself might be in a domestic violence situation, but you might know somebody who is. And by joining us today or listening to the broadcast later on, you'll be able to share with them some really pertinent information. And sometimes some people are not even sure that they're in an abusive situation because the abuse doesn't show up physical, it shows up mentally, and that person is dealing with it, individually, most of the time by themselves, not sharing it with nobody. But that's why we're here, to give everyone a safe place to know that the information that you get from our broadcast is very well thought out, very well researched, and investigated. And if we don't have the information or don't have the answer to something, we're just not going to go off speculation. We're going to get back to you with it. Okay. So, Pastor B, help me welcome everyone.
Well, hello everybody. So glad that we are back on this afternoon, this Sunday afternoon, and we welcome you to come on in, chime in. Um, as Sister Rosalind said, we'll be talking about this is Domestic Violence Awareness Month, and so we're focusing in on that as unruffled ladies. We can't, just ignore that these things don't happen, and we need to bring awareness to it. So we want you to come on in and chime in with us in the comments. If you have any questions, put your questions in. We'll try to answer them the best way we can, but if we don't know, we will try to find an answer to that, or maybe direct you to a resource that could help you.
Mhm.
And also, if you know someone that's going through something, and if they're able to share this live with them so that they can watch it as well. If maybe they can't watch it now, maybe they can watch it at a safe time. They can watch the replay. So we just encourage you to come and join us on this afternoon.
Mhm. Pastor B, I'm going to take a moment and just share with um, everyone what Unruffled Ladies is about
Mm-hmm.
and why we're here, what we do, how we got started, just briefly. So we all, we're a dynamic support community of like-minded women who purposely approach life being confident, at ease, and balanced. We didn't get there on our own. That is something that we desired, and um, God led us in directions to function like that: confidence, at ease, and balance. Our aim is to empower women and unruffle the greatness within them, to help women find their inner peace that produces their outer glow, thereby bringing tragedies to triumphs, turning mistakes into masterpieces, and growing from pain to power. The Unruffled Ladies community met quarterly via planned events and special gatherings that are hosted that was hosted by our anointed life coach and founder, Dr. Gina Nebb. Through the events and the gatherings, women connect to share their life experiences freely with others in a supportive atmosphere and safe environment. Uh, the group is designed to function as a sounding board for women to express themselves by participating in real talk discussions and address the current and past issues that women often face. All group members are encouraged to provide honest feedback from a positive perspective. Thank you very much for joining us today.
Mhm. Yep. So, in which we get ready to talk about this particular topic, I just wanted to kind of kick it off by looking at what domestic violence is, and just to
Mm-hmm.
give a definition out there. Um, but according to the United Nations, they define violence against women as any act of gender based violence that results in or is likely to result in physical, sexual, or mental harm or suffering to women, including threats of such acts, coercion, or arbitrary deprivation of liberty, whether occurring in public or in private life. United Nations. So that's a definition according to the United Nations. And then there's another term, intimate partner violence, or IPV. It refers to behavior by an intimate partner or ex partner that causes physical, sexual, or psychological harm, including physical aggression, sexual coercion, psychological abuse, and behaviors.
Mm-hmm.
Controlling behaviors. Um, and then sexual violence is any sexual act, attempt to obtain a sexual act or other act directed against a person's sexuality using coercion by any person, regardless of their relationship to the victim, in any setting. It includes rape, defined as the physically forced or otherwise coerced uh, penetration and other body parts, or using the other body parts or object, attempted rape, unwanted sexual touching, and other non contact forms. So that just kind of breaks down the categories of the ways in which abuse, the forms in which abuse can occur.
Mm-hmm.
Um,
And
because
some of those are not physically seen.
yeah, yeah. Especially when it comes to manipulation, control, psychological abuse, and in cases now, spiritual abuse,
Mm-hmm.
because we see that that has also spilled over into the church. Sad to say that there are people in the church who have experienced and have been victims of abuse.
Yeah.
So, abuse in any form is abuse. Um, some people feel like, certain things, it's not. It's because, maybe because they feel like that's just the norm, you know. And in some societies, sadly, it is.
Mm-hmm.
But the more we bring awareness to it, the more that we will understand that it should not be the norm. In fact, is ex, is extreme abnormal behavior.
Yeah.
So, just wanted to just kind of give a breakdown of what is domestic violence,
Mm-hmm.
and um, also to kind of put some statistics out there because um, we don't really address it like we should. There are a lot of agencies and whatnot that are out there, but I mean, when I say we don't address it, those that's in the, those of us that's affected by it, that's in the midst of it, that's involved in it. Many
Mm-hmm.
times we see the red flags, and instead of us sounding the alarm, we become silent.
Right.
And, you know, the more silent you are, the more your abuser can just continue doing the abuse. But if we
Mhm.
don't ever confront it, it will continue. And,
Exactly.
and so some statistics, according to the World Health Organization, they estimate that globally about 1 in 3 of women worldwide have been subjected to either physical and or sexual intimate partner violence or non-partner sexual violence in their lifetime. One in
One
three
in
women.
three.
That's a lot. I mean,
Yeah.
that's extremely a lot.
Yeah. It
You
is.
count one, two, three. One of those out of those 3 women have been victims of violence,
Wow.
domestic abuse. So it's something that is really needs to be a constant. There needs to be a constant. There needs to be a constant means of getting this under control. And I believe a lot of it begins with home.
Mm-hmm.
How we are, you know, raise our children at home, how we engage one another in the home, how we talk, how we speak to one another, how we communicate toward one another, how we treat one another in the home, husband, wife, or in many cases we got single parent households, parents, children, all of those things are important, you know. And when things are off in the home, it affects everything.
Yeah.
It affects everything. So I believe it begins at home.
It does. It does.
Mhm.
Absolutely. Um, and sad to say, uh, you could have. Some people are born into abusive situations.
Mhm.
You know, their own parents,
Yeah.
and that affects, the child way down the line in their life somewhere.
Yeah.
You know, and and I can truly understand that. You know,
Mhm.
um, not just saying it, I understand it because
Mhm.
even me personally myself have had to understand some of my own behavior growing
Mhm.
up as a child into a
Mhm.
young adult
Mhm.
because my mother was a victim
Yeah.
of abuse, of
Mhm.
relationship abuse.
Mhm.
And let me just say right now that I know this is a sensitive topic. This is
Yes.
a sensitive topic.
Mhm.
Um, by no means are we here today to insist that you make a decision based off of the information that we give you, but we are giving you, letting you know that there's help. There is help. There are entities out there who understand what you're going through, and they're willing and they're ready to help. Neither one of us, I'm sure there are people who have had other people to suggest, girl, leave him. Man, you don't need her treating you like that. You should just leave him. And that's easy for them to say. But you and the one experiencing the abuse, whether it's physical, mental, spiritual, abuse is abuse.
Mhm.
You are the one who has to take that step. You are the one who has to make that decision
Yeah.
for yourself
Mm-hmm.
and realize that you deserve to be treated decently, fairly, and you are not, it's not your fault that the person that is being abusive towards you is being abusive towards you.
Mm-hmm.
And we all know that they will make you feel that way.
Yeah.
It's your fault.
It's your fault.
You're the reason why I'm acting like this.
Mm-hmm.
And we're here to tell you today that you deserve to be treated decently and fairly.
Yes.
No matter what you've done, no matter what you've said, it does not, it's not supposed to result in someone hurting you.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Mm-hmm.
Um, we have lots of information today. I don't know if we're gonna all get, if we get around to all of it,
Mm-hmm.
but in a little bit, Pastor V is gonna share the different, telephone numbers and all that kind of stuff, and she's gonna make sure you have the information. Um, but I'm sure a lot of people don't reach out, don't contact for help because they don't know what to expect. Well, there are, on the National Domestic Violence Hotline site, they do have information for you there that tells you what to expect. And I'm just going to share a little bit. Okay. Um, some people who reach out to the hotline identify as survivors of abuse, some as concerned friends or family members, and some as abusive partners seeking to change themselves. Yes, they get calls from the abuser.
Yeah. And we was talking about that earlier, and I was like, I didn't even know that they did have where an abuser could call in and ask for help.
Absolutely.
Because I've always seen where the abuser is the one that's usually put under arrest, you know, put in jail, and maybe they might get some type of help while they're in there,
Mm-hmm.
you know.
Mm-hmm.
But I didn't know that.
Yep.
So that's good. That's good to know. If you're
Yeah.
a person that you know that you are out of control when it comes to your temper, um, you just go overboard. You are at the place where you just want to physically, hurt or harm somebody when you
Mm-hmm.
become angry. That's something that's a resource that you can call. Um, the hotline.org, you can call and someone will be there to help you and give you the resources you need, you know, so that you can get the help that you need.
Mm-hmm. Yep. So that information is there also for the abuser. What to expect? What to expect when you contact them? Just briefly, um, they're going to ask you some questions that has nothing to do with them trying to pry into your business. You called to get help, and that's what they're there to do, help you. So what you can expect is caring. They're going to thank you for reaching out. So it's essentially for your own safety that you contact them when your partner isn't around. And this can be hard to do if you live in the same residence. So they thank you for reaching out. They'll ask you, are you in a safe place to talk? And I'm sorry, that's the information that they had under that title. They'll ask you, are you in a safe place to talk? They're concerned about you. They'll ask, how are you taking care of yourself? Self-care is always important, but it can be easy to forget about while you're in an abusive relationship, right?
Hmm.
It's for support. They're going to ask you, why don't you tell me about your situation? They're not being nosy. They're trying to help you. I'm going to keep reiterating that.
Mm-hmm.
What have you considered so far? They're going to ask you, about your situation, and your situation best. People contact them at various stages in their relationship. So they'll need to understand what steps you're already ready to take in order to provide you with informed support. Okay. They'll ask you, they'll say, they'll work with you. They'll say, okay, let's brainstorm together. Whether you're trying to improve communication with your partner, planning how to leave your relationship, or finding ways to feel safer at home, you'll always have options. The advocates on the hotline can help you sort through your choices to figure out what's best for your specific situation. Okay. And they'll inquire about what else is on your mind. What else, what are some of the other things that are affecting your situation? Okay. So that was just a little bit of what you can expect when you call. And a lot of people would ask, can I really call without being judged?
Mm-hmm.
That's what keeps a lot of people from judging. Well, the advocates, they're there to listen without judgment and to help you begin to address what's going on in your relationship. Their services are always free and they are available 24/7.
And this is the domestic abuse hotline.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, I'm
Mm-hmm.
gonna go ahead and post that right there so they can get the number. So we see that the domestic abuse hotline number is 1-800-799-SAFE.
Mm-hmm.
So if you're watching and you need to make contact, there's the number there. Make sure you do it, in a safe environment, where you're not around anybody, where you can safely talk to someone on the line.
Mm-hmm. And you have information about the chat and texting.
Yes. This is the text. If you have your cell phone, you can text. You can text begin to 88788. Begin at 88788. Um, and then of course they have a chat site, which is the chat is thehotline.org. Thehotline.org. You can reach out in those three ways to get someone for assistance. And
And they,
we'll
mm-hmm.
repost it again sometime in the broadcast
Okay.
before we get off.
And just so everybody will know, they do have support, in the language of your choice. They have over 140 languages with the help of a trained interpreter. So you don't have to be shy about calling because you don't think they're going to be able to understand the language that you're speaking in. They have all that covered. They have all that covered. Okay.
Hmm.
Um,
I have another statistic
mm-hmm.
to put out, and it's saying that most of this violence and intimate partner violence, um, worldwide, almost one third or 27% of women aged 15 to 49 years who have been in a relationship report that they have been subjected to some form of physical and or sexual violence by their intimate partner.
Hmm.
So we're talking about age 15 to age 49. They are reporting that they have, um, one third of women worldwide have reported that they have been in a relationship where they were subjected to some type of physical or sexual abuse.
And you did say the ones that were reported.
Yes, reported, because a lot of times they're
Yes.
not reported, and for some they may not been reported in the beginning, but with as time goes on and as severe as it becomes severe, the severity increases, it may, prompt you to report it.
Mhm.
But in a lot of cases, it's not reported. But this is what, have been reported. So,
Okay.
um, we don't you don't need to be silent if you are suffering from abuse. You don't need to be silent. You need to let somebody know what is going on, you know. And if you can't go to family, because sometimes some family will put you in a situation, because sometimes the abuser can have such a control over family members that the family members think, well, they can't do anything. They wouldn't do anything like that. They'll have them
Mhm.
thinking, that you're the crazy one. And so if you're in that type of situation, you may need to go outside of your family, you know, police, authorities, or women's shelter or men's shelter, because in some cases men are abused. You may need to go outside of your family to get the help you need. If you don't have a trusted friend, or if you have a pastor, a trusted pastor that
Mhm.
you can go to, um, that can help get you to safety.
That's right. Um, Once again, this is Unruffled Ladies on this second Sunday, and our topic today is surrounding domestic violence, domestic abuse. October is the awareness month for domestic violence, and the color is purple.
Mhm,
So if you see someone sporting purple, during this time of month, or um, it's quite evident they want it to be known, that color for the Domestic Violent Awareness Month is purple.
mhm,
Okay. Like we mentioned before the broadcast is up, we're going to talk about, the different centers. We're going to name some off. I don't know if Pastor B is going to be able to put them all on the screen, but even if you're watching now, you can't watch the whole broadcast. You can go back. It, now that I'm thinking about it, just watching this broadcast is a red flag to maybe some family members that you're around that don't want you with this information. So once again, you have to be strategic and careful about how you reach out to get help, not to put yourself in a situation, you know, that's even more dangerous.
mhm,
Um, yes. So I also wanted to mention that if you have any information or any questions or any subjects pertaining to this one or any other one, please visit our Unruffled Ladies community page, and on YouTube. Is that correct, Pastor B?
mhm,
Yes. And on YouTube. Uh, Even now live, you can people can respond. You can put in questions, ask for information, in the chat live on Facebook or YouTube. But if you want to do it in a more private setting, you can go to our Facebook page, and message us directly, if you want to get the information that way as well.
mhm.
um
I had some risk factors,
okay.
um, to kind of go over, so we can kind of get a better idea, because like I said before, I believe it begins in the home.
Hmm.
And these are some risk factors that are associated with being a perpetrator of violence. Some are also associated with experiencing violence, and some are associated with both. So these are risk factors. For this one is for both intimate partner and sexual violence.
Hmm.
Um, And the risk factors includes lower levels of education,
Mm.
perpetration of sexual violence and experience of sexual violence, a history of exposure to child maltreatment, perpetration, and experience. So the risk factor is low levels of education. If you have a history of child abuse or child maltreatment exposure, um, witnessing family violence, witnessing family violence,
Mm-hmm.
antisocial personality disorder. Sometimes people have um, mentally, they're not all there. They have emotional imbalance. A lot of things are going on with them psychologically
Mm-hmm.
where they really need help. Um, and then there's a harmful use of alcohol, also in drugs, harmful masculine behaviors, including multiple partners or attitude that condone violence. So if you have a situation where, um, you know, w- um, in this case, it's talking about masculine behaviors, but it can go the other way too. But a situation where one is having multiple partners, they're cheating, there's a lot of infidelity going on. There's another risk factor. Uh, Another one is community norms that privilege or ascribe higher status to men and lower status to women. And we may find that in a lot of other uh, countries. At one time, it was like that in our own country, where women were considered lower status than men. And so women will be more vulnerable to abuse for that reason and mistreatment for that reason. And
Mm-hmm.
then another one is low levels of women's access to paid employment, and low levels of gender equality, discriminatory laws, and so forth. Because in some countries, it's the laws that prevent women from having any type of economic um, status, or that prevent women from working, from being able to support themselves. They prevent women from getting education. Um, that discriminate against women as a whole, and
Mm-hmm.
so they're not able to advance like men, and so it puts them at a disadvantage where they're susceptible to being abused.
Mm-hmm.
So these are just some risk factors. And then there's factors that's specifically associated with intimate partner violence, or IPV, and that's a past history of exposure to violence, marital discord, and dissatisfaction, difficulties in communicating between partners, and male controlling behaviors toward their partners. Now it says male controlling behaviors, which is more, I think, is more prominent, but women also can have controlling behaviors as well toward men.
No doubt.
So it goes both ways. And then you have risk factors that specifically associated with sexual violence and perpetration. That includes beliefs in family honor and sexual purity.
Hmm.
Sometimes how a person, how they believe, their belief system, as far as, you know, um, how they were raised, maybe from a religious standpoint, and how they see what, family honor, and how they view sexual purity. That can have an effect.
Mm-hmm.
um ideologies of male and sexual entitlement. There's some men that feel like they entitled to women,
Mm-hmm.
and even if it's against their will, you know.
Mm-hmm.
Um, and then the weak legal sanctions for sexual violence. In some societies, the laws do not have, they don't have laws or substantial laws that protect women from sexual violence. Or even when a woman experience sexual violence, they don't have laws that would, uh, you know, they don't have substantial laws to protect the victim. But in a lot of ways, the laws probably do more to protect the abuser, so they get away with it
I've
from
seen
a
it.
law standpoint.
I've seen it.
Yeah, and then yeah, I think that was the what I had all for um associated risk. But when you have all of these things in the mix, um, you know, it can bring about some dangerous situations for women,
Mm-hmm.
and in some cases for men. If any of these things exist, you know, family background wise, social economic wise, all of these things, it can bring about dangerous situations for both parties.
Mm-hmm. Exactly. Well, that is some very, helpful information. The statistics is helpful because it brings us an awareness on just, how often this happens and
Mm-hmm.
how many people are actually experiencing it, you know.
Mm-hmm.
Um,
But now I also want to say, don't just think that abuse don't is for folks who don't have education and who don't have, you know, they may not have a lot of money. Um, don't just think it's just that, because there are people or there are women who are wealthy women, have a background of wealth, and they could be suffering from abuse as well.
mhm,
Physical abuse, uh psychological abuse, mental abuse, you know,
mhm,
it can hit at every level, but a lot of it is very prevalent. Um there's a lot Probably a lot more prevalent for people who don't have an economic advantage, or who don't
mhm,
have an educational advantage. Um so just to keep in mind, don't just go by how a person look and what they have to determine, well, maybe they'll be, they're like more likely to be abused. But there are people who have status, who have wealth, and they encounter abuse as well.
mhm.
So yeah, keep that in mind.
Exactly. Once again, very sensitive subject, and what it does is it forces us to address things that hurt.
Mm,
You know,
mm-hmm,
it forces us to address things within ourselves that we need to be mindful of. You know, because for whatever reason, growing up or becoming insecure, um, questioning who you are and what your value is, and what you deserve and what you don't deserve, feeling not worthy.
mm,
All of these things, like
mm-hmm,
Pastor V just mentioned, some of the things that puts you that influences and assists to putting you in a position to be abused. You know, there are predators out there. They look for men and women.
mm-hmm,
They're drawn to them. People that they can easily manipulate, um, and use for their own, you know, selfish advantages, you know.
Yeah.
Um, Unfortunately, it happens. But a way to combat that is to start focusing on yourself,
Mm-hmm.
administering some self care, some self love. And I know all of these things are easily said, they're easily talked about, but it takes some intentional. You have to be intentional about where you are in life and where you want to be.
Mm-hmm.
And sometimes it's gonna start with a very, very tough decision.
Yep.
It is not easy to leave somebody that you grew to love. So your version of loving them came with accepting everything about them. But we're here to let you know today you don't have to continue being abused for the sake of love. That's not love.
Mm-mm.
That's not love.
Mm-mm.
Okay. Um.
I have
Uh.
these questions about
Okay.
the and these are some questions we were going over earlier, and I was like, well, one of them questions I can answer yes to. And
Okay.
somebody out there, you probably could too.
Mm-hmm.
But these are, which I came across, these are domestic violence, what they call 11 questions. It's a danger assessment. And these are questions that they ask you. Um, these questions were developed for the authorities um, to ask when they interview a victim of
Mm.
abuse. And it's called the Development and Testing of the Danger Assessment for law enforcement, or the DALE.
Mm.
Okay. And so these 11 questions, and this is number one. Has the physical violence increased in severity or frequency over the past year? So that's one question that they would ask a victim of abuse,
Okay.
the authorities, when they come on scene. The second question is, have you loved him or her after living together in the past year? The third question is, does he or she control most or all of your daily activities? Number four, has he or she tried to kill you? Number five, has he or she ever threatened to kill you? Number six, has he or she used a weapon against you or threatened you with a lethal weapon? Number seven, has he or she ever tried to choke or strangle you? Number eight, has he or she choked or strangled you multiple times? Number nine, do you believe he or she is capable of killing you? Number 10, does he or she own a gun? And then number 11, has he or she ever threatened or tried to commit suicide? And so each yes response is assigned 1 point, and the risk factors are added to create an overall score between 0 and 11. And so I thought this was good to put these questions out there, because many times we be in a state of denial.
Yes.
We be in a state of denial, and we keep making excuses for this person who is causing us physical, mental, psychological harm. And if these things are happening, if you can answer yes to any of these questions, and especially if you're in the beginning of a relationship with someone, and you can say yes to any of these questions, that's a big red flag.
Mm-hmm.
And this is just me. I say get out while it's new. Get out. Um, because it's not going to change. Once a person show you who they really are, when that real deal come out, believe it. If you have any feeling in your gut, if your mind is saying, oh well he's this, oh well he's that, but your gut is saying listen to your gut. Listen to your gut. If you are a young woman and you know he's whining you, he's dining you, he's bling blinging you or whatever, and you see something just rear up and you think, well, it ain't that big of a deal. Yes, it is. Don't dismiss it. Don't dismiss it. Follow your gut. We did a live a while back when we said follow listen to your instincts.
Listen to your instincts. Mm-hmm.
Listen to your instinct. Your gut, your instinct is there for a reason, not for you to ignore it, but for you to pay attention to red flags when they come up. But many times we just overlook it, we bury it, we ignore it, we make light of it. And then as time goes on, it becomes worse. And now we too vested in it to just, you know, jump out of it, you know. Um, because I was just sharing before we came on live that I was in a relationship with this guy who was a police officer of all people. And we were in a relationship for a time, and then he decided one day to pull a gun on me. And I had never nothing like that had ever happened to me. Nothing like that.
Mm-hmm.
But and I knew he carried guns, but I never ever thought that he would, like, that never just crossed my mind. Because in my mind, he was a police officer and he was one that was trained to protect. But he got mad with me for whatever reason. It was just really a stupid reason, and pulled a gun out on me. And I believe it was an intent to intimidate me or put fear in me. But I didn't even, me being in my early 20s, I didn't have enough sense really to say, well, it didn't really put no fear in me initially. I just, I started talking smart. I was going
Mm-hmm.
off. But
Mm-hmm.
in my mind at the same time, in the back of my mind, I'm thinking, he just pulled a gun out on me. And so my instinct was, get up out of there, move, get away. And that's what I did. I had to be strategic about it because he could have just held me hostage or something.
Mm-hmm.
But I had to, my instincts had to kick in, and I got away from him. You know, um,
So that was a red flag for you that you definitely didn't need to ignore.
oh
You
no,
know.
that I couldn't ignore that. Now there was some. Now I'm not gonna lie, there was some things that led up to that. There was other red flags that came up that I saw, but I dismissed it. Even after I, confronted him about it or whatever, but I was like, okay. And so we kept on, and then that happened, and I was like, okay, that's it. I mean, the other part should have been it, but
Yeah.
that right there did it. No. So, but even with that, don't allow it to get to that if you can. When you see the red flag initially, when you get that initial gut feeling, that's your time to make your move and do what you need to do to keep yourself safe.
Right. You know, Pastor V, I have a question for you
Hmm.
concerning your experience.
Hmm.
And it's not as much for you to reflect, but it's for our listeners to reflect,
Hmm.
on your answer.
Hmm.
So when the time came and you truly did separate yourself from this person,
Hmm.
I mean, it might have we have stages of going back and forth before we make a final decision to stay
Yeah.
gone,
Yeah.
okay?
Yeah.
But I'm talking about the time that you made that decision permanently to
Hmm.
cut this person off.
Hmm.
Did you still have feelings for them? Did you still have urges to want to connect? You know?
Initially, I did. I did. I started feeling sorry. I
Mm-hmm.
started, like thinking, oh, you know, maybe if I give him another chance,
There
but
you
don't
go.
don't fall into that,
Yeah.
because all it do is put you right back into their hand where they can continue the abuse.
Mm-hmm.
And the other dynamic that was going on with him, which I didn't see that until after the fact, because he was really trying to hide it from me. But I caught him, was he was an alcoholic. He had a problem with alcohol. And he could disguise it so well. But when I began to see, well, look at how much you drinking, like what the what? You know, it ain't like a beer here and a beer there, but you drinking that hard stuff. You drinking hard liquor. I was like, you know, like, so now I'm in a situation where I'm like, you need some help. You need to get you some help. Do you understand? You know,
Mm-hmm.
and for a moment, and I think he believed he needed the help, but I don't think he was at a place where he was ready to get it.
Mm-hmm.
You know, but
Mm-hmm.
but here's the other dynamic. The other decision was, I can't stay with you in that.
There you
And
go.
as women, when we see things like that, we have to make that determination. Listen, I love you, I like you, but hey, if you're gonna continue down this road, I can't stay here with you.
Mm-hmm. And let me just also interject. It doesn't mean that you're cold, uncaring, but you can't allow yourself to be victimized, drugged down, depleted because you're trying to help somebody else. You're no good to them, right?
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
And a lot of times we become the the hindrance of the help. We become the stumbling block of them truly getting um, the help that they deserve to have, and some of them really want, right?
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
But because we stay, tolerate, put up with, deal with, stress ourselves out over,
Mm-hmm.
totally deplete ourselves of health and energy. So now we're carrying that burden of their issue. We are carrying it.
Yeah.
That's not love.
Mm-mm.
And you're not helping them. You're not helping them. If you really want to help them, put yourself in a safe place, and you can walk with them while they carry their own burden.
Mm-hmm.
Take it off of you. You're not the reason. It's not your fault. Now, you heard me. I said you can walk with them. What does that mean? If assisting, getting help, I didn't say, do it for them. They have to do it for themselves. They have to do it for themselves. You cannot do it for them, you know. So just spare yourself of the grief of thinking that because I love them so much, I'm going to heal them.
Mm.
Now, I can say that because that's the mentality that I've had in my life before, uh, in some relationships. I've seen the potential. I wanted to do nothing but focus on the good in them. When
Mhm.
all along it was red flags everywhere that said run, but I
Mhm.
didn't. Why? Because I felt that my love was strong enough, pure enough, intentional enough. If they could just see it, if they could just embrace it, everything gonna be okay. That wasn't the case.
Mm-mm.
Not just one time, several times. Several times. But of course, now I've learned I am nobody's savior.
Mm-mm.
I'm not.
Nope.
I'm not. I can be a committed, dedicated friend who truly cares about you. And if I can, see to it that I assist with you getting the help that you need, but I'm not going to do it for you. I'm not going to carry that burden. And you don't have to neither. Stop
Mhm.
feeling guilty and make the decisions that you need to make that are best for you and everybody concerned. It's
Mhm.
hard, but you have to do it. You have to do it.
Yeah, especially if you have children.
Mm-hmm.
If you have children involved, you need to think about keeping them safe as well, you know.
Yeah. Yeah.
And you don't want them to continue to see the perpetration of violence,
Mm-hmm.
because it does something to a child to see their parent being abused.
Mm-hmm.
Those memories will stay with them forever.
They'll grow up thinking that's normal.
Yeah.
Yes.
And so and then it continues on and on and on, so you don't want to see your children, abusing others, you know,
That's right. That is right.
because it messes with them. Like, it messes with them as far as, psychologically. Um, you know, it messes with them being able to concentrate at school, you know. Um, it really does a number on children,
Mm-hmm.
you know. And so we have to be mindful how we talk, we as adults, how we talk to one another in front of them,
Mm-hmm.
you know, the tone of our voice, you know, the volume of our voice, the things that we say, not to belittle one another and things like that, you know,
That's right.
because really, when you think about it, you're planting seeds. Seeds are being planted, and it's the wrong kind of seeds.
Yeah.
And they will come up, and a harvest will come forth, and it will not be good.
So true. Guys, our time has been well spent. It's almost 5 o'clock.
Mhm.
And once again, this broadcast was Unruffled Ladies. Our subject today was uh, domestic violence. And the next time that we're on is going to be the fourth Sunday, which is October the 26th. The Lord says the same. We'll be right here, same place, same time. Um, you have anything to close us out with, Pastor V? Any other information?
I'm just going back to repost the domestic abuse hotline number, 1-800-799-SAFE. And again, you can text the word begin to 88788. And you can also chat on the hotline.org. You can send a chat to the hotline.org. So I just wanted to just put that information back up there for anyone that may be watching and you're in a abusive situation and you're looking to get some help to get out, or get some uh, resources that you need in order to get out. You can contact domestic abuse, the National Domestic Abuse Hotline number, chat in the text.
Okay. Our time has been well spent. Thank you for leaving us with that, Pastor V. And there's one other thing I wanted to mention. Some of us on here today are those who will listen to the broadcast recording. This may be about you, but not as the victim. But I don't see it that way. If you are the abuser, you're a victim too.
Mm.
You're a victim too. And as much as we want to focus on the victim or the one being abused, we not only just need to remove them from the situation and get them healed, healthy, and safe, but you have to look at it like this. The abuser is still out there to abuse the next person.
Mm. Mm-hmm.
So if it's tough, but if this is you, if it was hard for you to listen to this, to watch this, because you know that you're that person, there's help for you too. There's help for you too. Okay. So thank you guys for watching today. And please go on our website, post topics that you want to talk about, that you want research, that you have questions on, that is really tough for you. That's why we're here. That's what this platform is about. So thank y'all for viewing today. We'll see you on October the 26th. Hopefully Lady Gina will be back with us. Okay. And we'll see you guys then. Y'all enjoy the rest of your day, and God bless.
God bless.